Now, whether J.J. McCarthy's career leads to Canton, that's yet to be determined. But later this month, there is no doubt that Jared Allen is a Hall of Famer. The former Viking defensive end terrorized opposing quarterbacks nearly every single Sunday throughout his career. And now he will join the immortals of the game when he is inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jared was kind enough to sit down with me to discuss his drive and determination that led to him getting his place among the greatest to ever play in the National Football League. Has it really sunk in that now people say Jared Allen, Hall of Famer?
Yes and no, because I don't think, to me it doesn't, put it this way. There wasn't anything I'd done recently that got me this accolade, right? It's all the hard work I put into years past. So, the Hall of Fame is great because your career stands the test of time, your body of work. And so from that it's cool, but it doesn't change, who I am, what I've done. Doesn't make my kids and wife love me anymore. I don't, unfortunately I don't get a like extra big mansion in heaven or anything like that.
Hey, buddy.
I guess that's the knock.
Jared, welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame Class 2025.
Appreciate it, brother.
Did you know when you were getting the knock?
There's no way of hiding this. I got cameras, my dogs bark, I got a long driveway. I'm like, if Steve Hutchinson shows up at my house, he's the only person that lives near me that I'm a teammate with that was in the Hall of Fame, right? And so I'm like, if Steve shows up at my house, I'm gonna know it's just gonna know what it's gonna be. So all of a sudden dogs started barking, I see Steve walking up and I'm like, I guess this is the knock.
He kept on jumping on that.
Oh, I'm trying to knock him down. Just trying to knock him down. Try to give me one of them gold teeth. Let's go.
What motivated you? Because you were a talker on the field.
Good job, Sam.
And was that to motivate yourself, or was that to intimidate the guy across from you, or intimidate the quarterback so he had to start thinking about you?
You know what? It just, let go of that ball, Chris. As you know from being around me all these years, I like to talk, period. Get that from my dad. But no, it was more of a way that if I can get you talking to me, like that, to me, running my mouth, that's just what I do. So, but especially guys that didn't like to talk. So I don't know, it wasn't really an intimidation, it wasn't a motivation factor, but there's just something when you're whooping a dude and you're telling them about it, right? And like you're just getting under their skin and it's annoying. If I can be in your head, if I can be talking to you and I can get you talking back to me and you're not focused on what you're doing, then I can capitalize and make a mistake, or have them make a mistake. And same thing with the quarterback. Quarterbacks are fragile, right? They prima donnas. They get told how great they are all the time. They, don't get hit during practice. They can't get yelled at. Gotta have. It's like a pitcher. You got to keep them in the right headspace. So you get into those little fragile minds and get them shook. Next thing you know, you got an advantage.
Which quarterback did you enjoy tormenting the most?
Oh, every single one of them, honestly. I'm an equal opportunity hater. So I think for me, I loved playing the quarterbacks that I actually respected. I think part of the reason why for myself playing against the top guys made it so much fun, you amped up because like I have to disrupt them because otherwise that guy is going to, they can wreck the game. There's times you go in, the running back might be the focus. Well, guess what? We can tackle running back with 7 people, but, with a quarterback of that caliber, you got 4 guys up front, and when you're the top dog, you're supposed to be getting the quarter. If you don't do your job, wins and losses kind of lay on your shoulders at times. So you got to be able to really, go at it by all means necessary, or by any means necessary to get in their head, talk trash, hit them, chip them, whatever you got to do. And so those top guys, those are the ones I love playing the most.
When you came here, there was so much pressure. Everybody expected greatness from you for the price they paid, for what you had done in Kansas City, and people were expecting even more when you walked through the doors here. And you came in with the cowboy hat and everything else, so you were announcing your arrival. You didn't come in meekly. What was about this organization that you were able to throw yourself to this Hall of Fame level?
When I came here, that was the biggest thing, was that it was just the trust. You know, the trust in not holding my mistakes in my past against me, you know, understanding what my talent was, understanding why the price tag, what it was. You know, Dwight Freeney had just broke the bank. He became the highest paid defensive player in history, and statistically, you know, my numbers were better than Dwight's, you know, for my 4 years versus, you know, so it was like, that's just the natural progression, right? And, you know, not to say that negotiations weren't always the easiest here, but what I'll say the Vikings did is they never tried to go back and use Kansas City against me, you know what I mean? There was never this, well, what about this, or he's this, we got to deduct this. You know, they flat out asked me, like, okay, why do you want to be the highest paid defensive player in NFL history? And to me, that showed, like, okay, they care, they want to know why. So, you know, I told them, and then
What'd you say?
I said, because I'd earned it.
Favre rolls. Wants to throw deep and does. To the end zone for Greg Lewis. Touchdown!
Why was the 09 season different? Because I've been around this team for years, but I never felt the chemistry that I felt in that room, and I'm not part of the room.
Yeah.
But you could see how that group.
Well, you put it great. I mean, the chemistry when I got here was good. All right. I think the piece we were missing was that stalwart at the most important, you know, position, which is quarterback, right? For any great team. And so when you have a guy who's not just a franchise quarterback, I mean, he is like the quarterback of his era, come in, and then the way Brett led, Brett taught me a ton off of it just about lead. Like, Brett wasn't above anybody. You know, all high-end quarterbacks need to have a little bit of arrogance. They got to be a little bit disconnected because that's what you expect, right? I mean, they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. But Brett could literally bust balls with anybody, you know? And so here you got a guy that, you know, you're seeing the work ethic, first of all. You're seeing his competitive drive. He's got some edge to him, you know? He's not this, you know, suit and tie, buttoned up, unrelatable dude. And, you know, he's honest with the teammates. I mean, he goes and he'll shoot the crap with anybody. I don't know. It drew guys together. And then what he did, what we've always kind of did on the defensive side, you know, because we were so competitive just on our defensive set. He starts doing that, you know, when it's coming from the quarterback position. I'll never forget it first. I mean, he changed like our cadence the first day. We're like, wait, what? What's going on here? But next thing you know, we got an offensive line which was just, you know, obviously Hutch was the freaking staple of that offensive line. He was that power. But now you're seeing Brian McKinney is playing up to his potential, right? Now we had other guys. The cream was rising to the top. And I think you saw other sides of personalities from guys. You saw guys, you know, understanding their role and how everybody's playing. And then you're winning. Winning is fun.
And lastly, the speech. How much time will you prepare on that?
I was already supposed to turn the draft in on my speech, and I haven't done that yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to go like ChatGPT or, you know, sit down and write it or just wing it. I mean, I got options.
Will you get through it without choking up?
Yeah, I think so. I actually get a lot of heat for not being that emotional about this stuff. Everybody else, I think my dad's cried like 14 times already. I'm like, whatever. So yeah, it'll be good. I'll try to throw some humor in there, you know. If I don't thank you personally, don't get offended. I don't do all that crap. But no, I don't know if I'll choke up. I don't know. I'm expecting. I think maybe in those moments, you know, when you're there with your friends and family, I think that's when things hit me the most. And if I do choke up, it's not going to have anything to do with anything I've done. I think it's going to be the fact that to be able to share these moments with the people that were on that ride with you, you know? And that's really how I view it. I think that's probably why I don't put a whole lot of stock into the accolade to myself, is that, you know, yes, I'm the recipient, but, you know, I would be completely naive to think that this is about me.